"You see that boy over there with the greasy hair and funny clothes?" Marion Keisker nudged Sam Phillips as they watched the teenaged Elvis Presley awkwardly make his way through the well-heeled crowd at the Peabody Hotel's plush Continental Ballroom. It was prom night for the graduating class of L.C. Humes High School. "What about him?" Sam replied distractedly, his mind still on the technical difficulties that had plagued that afternoon's radio broadcast from the hotel's rooftop skyway. "There's just something about him. Mark my words, that boy's going places." Marion had a knack for spotting raw talent, honed from years of writing and producing radio programs. Sam looked more closely at the oddly dressed youth. He wore a shiny blue suit, obviously new but already a bit rumpled, likely purchased from Lansky brothers over on Beale Street. His hair was styled into an elaborate coiffure of glinting black waves. He looked out of place among his more conservatively attired classmates, but carried himself with a smoldering intensity. The boy took a seat with his date, a pretty freshman named Regis, and spent most of the evening shyly nursing a Coke, too self-conscious to dance. "Ooh, I'll have to keep an eye on him," Sam mused as he turned to deal with the next minor broadcast emergency. He promptly forgot the brief exchange, having no inkling of the future significance of that peculiar young man. Elvis Aaron Presley was still getting used to the bustle and bright lights of Memphis. Just a few months prior, he and his parents Vernon and Gladys had left behind their hardscrabble existence in East Tupelo, Mississippi for a shot at a better life in Tennessee's largest city. The Presleys had endured hard times, Vernon's stint in jail for check forgery, scraping by on odd jobs and the kindness of relatives. They arrived in Memphis with few possessions and took up residence at the dilapidated rooming houses on Washington and Poplar Streets before being accepted into one of the tiny subsidized apartments at Lauderdale Courts. To 13-year-old Elvis, Lauderdale Courts was a significant step up, with its red brick walls, oak floors, and the unaccustomed luxury of indoor plumbing. The community had a vibrant social life centered around the grassy mall area where Elvis would strum his second-hand guitar, a gift from his doting mother Gladys. She fretted constantly over her only surviving child, his twin brother Jesse having died at birth. Though they adored him, Elvis's parents struggled to understand their unusual son with his flashy clothes, growing obsession with music, and endless hours spent haunting Beale Street to absorb the sounds of blues and gospel. Humes High did little to improve Elvis's shy and withdrawn demeanor. His greaseback hair and loud outfits earned him ridicule and bullying from his classmates who came from more conventional backgrounds. Only his status as a member of the ROTC and the protection of football player Red West spared him from the worst torments. Few took notice of Elvis's musical abilities until the evening of the talent show in April of his junior year. On a dare, he took the stage and launched into a slow ballad, revealing his honeyed baritone voice. His rendition of "Till I Waltz Again With You" hushed the crowded auditorium. Heads turned to ask, "Who is that boy?" It was Elvis's first real taste of the power of his voice to transfix an audience. After graduating in 1953, Elvis was eager to contribute to the family finances and took on a series of unremarkable jobs, usher at the Lowe's State Theater until he was fired for fighting with a coworker, assembly line worker at Precision Tool Company where he lied about his age to gain employment, delivery truck driver for Crown Electric. None of these paid more than $1 an hour, but Elvis diligently turned over his meager pay to Gladys each week. He spent his scant free time haunting the record stores and nightclubs of Beale, soaking up the Delta blues and scoping out the flashy fashions. Blasting out of storefront speakers and wafting from clubs was the electrified sound of the blues being pioneered by the likes of B.B. King and Rufus Thomas. This new, raw music spoke to Elvis on a profound level. He scraped together $3.98 to purchase his first outfit from Lansky Brothers, a shirt with a high collar and peg-leg pants with a snap. Bernard Lansky took a liking to the quiet young man with the smoldering good looks. Thus began a long association between the clothier and the man who would become the best PR for Lansky's, spreading the Beale Street styles far and wide. Elvis spent every spare moment pursuing his dream of a music career. He hung around the Memphis Recording Service studio, home to Sun Records and the Rocket 88, recording by Ike Turner that many cite as the first rock and roll record. He struck up a friendship with Marion Keisker, who worked as a radio personality and assistant to Sun founder Sam Phillips. Marion encouraged Elvis to record some songs. In the summer of 1953, he paid $4 to record My Happiness, and That's When Your Heart Takes begin ostensibly as a belated birthday present for his mother, but also as a way to get his voice heard by Sam Phillips. The Sun Records impresario was intrigued by the young man's voice, a fusion of country, pop, and R&B with an original flair. He invited Elvis back to the studio in June 1954. Late one evening, Elvis began fooling around with an upbeat version of the blues song, That's All Right, Mama, in a fast new style. The next day, Sam delivered a test pressing to hometown DJ Dewey Phillips. The song's unique sound created a sensation with radio audiences clamoring for more. Just like that, Elvis the delivery boy became Elvis the teen idol. Over the next year, Elvis recorded a string of hit records that launched him to stardom: Blue Moon of Kentucky, Good Rockin' Tonight, Baby Let's Play House. Adopting a wardrobe of outlandish outfits from a delighted Bernard Lansky, Elvis created a sexually charged persona that had teenage girls screaming and parents clucking their tongues. He swiveled his hips on stage and sneered at the camera for photo shoots. Conservative adults declared him vulgar. Kids couldn't get enough. Television appearances on the regional Louisiana Hayride and New York-based Jackie Gleason stage show brought Elvis to national attention in 1956. That January, he recorded Heartbreak Hotel, which became a #1 hit and his first million seller. Elvis the Pelvis was on his way to becoming the most famous entertainer in America. But back home, many of his fellow Memphians still saw him as that weird Presley kid from the projects. Some of the old-timers at Crown Electric saw his picture in the paper and remembered the polite blonde boy who used to ride along on delivery runs. They wondered what the world was coming to with these wild young folks and their crazy music. Oblivious to the sensation he was causing, Elvis prepared for his debut on the top-rated Ed Sullivan Show that fall. This was his chance to show a massive television audience what he could do. For the occasion, he returned to the clothier he had relied on since his days as a usher at Lowe's State. Bernard Lansky fitted Elvis in an outfit guaranteed to shock: a black velour shirt with a plunging V-neck collar and black slacks tight enough to look like leotards. Mr. Sullivan, keenly aware of Elvis's reputation, insisted that the camera only show him from the waist up to avoid offense. The plan backfired. At-home viewers were treated to an intense close-up of Elvis's face as he crooned, "Love Me Tender," with hooded eyes and pouty lips. The switchboards at CBS lit up with the complaints of scandalized viewers. Despite the controversies, there was no stopping Elvis mania. Hit records and Hollywood movies followed. Each new release brought longer lines of screaming Bobby-Soxers to record stores and movie theaters. But Elvis never forgot his roots. At the height of his fame, he continued to return to Memphis for clothes and companionship. He installed his parents in a mansion called Graceland and lavished them with gifts. But he also sank into the first real depression of his life as he found the normal world slipping further and further away. Ensconced in luxurious hotel rooms with an entourage of old friends and toadying new acquaintances, he longed for the simple pleasures of his youth: a birthday barbecue in the courts, peanut butter and banana sandwiches Gladys assembled on the worn Formica counter of their kitchenette, the camaraderie of the guys harmonizing under the street lamps of Beale. Driving alone on Union Avenue one night, he pulled into the parking lot of his old high school. Memories flooded back of that pivotal night on the auditorium stage when he realized that something in him was meant for more than factory drudge work or delivery routes. Was this new life, the endless demands, the gilded cage of fame, truly the success he imagined that nervous young singer longed for? Elvis slipped into the darkened school, navigating the locker-lined halls by feel. In the empty band room, a shaft of streetlight reflected off the curves of a guitar propped in the corner. Entranced, Elvis picked it up, feeling the cool lacquered wood against his hands. He played a few chords, the sound echoing off the bare white walls. It was an old acoustic model, cheap and battered, not much better than the instrument Gladys had struggled to afford for his 11th birthday present. But the first strains of Old Shep flowed from his fingers as effortlessly as they had that day at the county fair almost 15 years prior, when he first knew the startling power of his voice to make listeners weep or exult. Unseen on Beale Street, Old bluesmen bent over the strings of their instruments, ringing out the hard experiences of lifetimes in the Delta with each plangent note. In the studios of WREC, Sam Phillips and Marion Keisker argued amicably about set lists and advertisers. Gladys Presley sat up late worrying in the stillness of her Graceland bedroom, praying for her son's happiness and that the world might be kind to his tender heart. And in a darkened classroom, Elvis Aaron Presley, once that strange adolescent who was going nowhere according to his teachers, played the simple tunes that had first set him dreaming, alone with his music, at peace with the ghosts of his beginnings.